Second reading, and today we make a decision. Thanks for coming.
The arguments here look like they look familiar. I would just say that
They've got to read this first. Then they're going to ask you if you want to talk.
okay. They already read it.
Well, went through the first protocol then.
Is this what we'll
Tell me when I should find it.
Here, you want to copy?
Oh, why don't you?
Ted's anxious to straighten you guys out.
We need it.
We need it.
We probably should. Yeah, I'm thinking that. So you guys got a copy of our resolution, didn't you?
Yep.
Okay.
Nobody's gonna speak, so I'll be
I'll
over
wait till
here.
he gets back.
Thank you.
That's the one we need. It ain't working? Thanks.
Well, here's one letter.
Thank you.
You do need one?
No, thank you.
Okay, so everybody's got everybody's copies here, right? Thanks, Ted. Bruce? We've talked about the resolution one other time. Is there a motion?
I move to accept the resolution 2018-12. This being a Granite County resolution, a declaration of opposition to I-186.
Second.
Okay, discussion on the motion. Commissioners, is there any other discussion on the motion?
No.
You might have some other questions.
Right here.
So, how about public discussion on the motion?
Let me introduce myself again. I'm Ted Antonoli, and I've been working on mines, mill exploration in Granite County for maybe 40-some years. And we go back generations in exploring and running mines in Granite County in our family. So the problem with this initiative is that it sets a standard that is, the mining industry in general feels it will be impossible to meet. You are required to, you're guilty until you prove yourself innocent. I guess that's the phrase. You have to prove beyond. Essentially, it's a civil standard that's like beyond a shadow of a doubt, or beyond any reasonable doubt. You have to prove that there will never be a scenario under which you will have to treat any contaminant long term. In the initiative, it lists several contaminants, like arsenic, but it's any contaminant. It could be a little nitrate that comes from your blasting in the mine. And if you can't prove to this very high standard that you will never need to do anything about that in the future, you won't be granted a permit. So I'll give you an example. Stillwater Mine is a very clean operation, but standards changed in nitrate, which is one of their blasting units. There's no nitrate naturally occurring in the Stillwater Mine. But then they found out that, hey, the standards are higher, now we're going to have to treat. So there was a change in the standard, so they had to put in $20 million worth of stuff to change to treat the nitrate. You have to be able, as a mine operator, to roll the punches regulatorily, you might say, to add whatever is needed at any stage to treat if something comes up that you didn't think was a problem, but then is identified by the public as a problem. And unless you can prove that in advance, you won't be granted a permit. Let's believe the standard is impossible, and it'll end new permits for mining in the state of Montana. That is the opinion of the operators in the mining industry. So that's why all of the operators are contributing to the campaign against 186. They are grandfathered. Okay, they got themselves grandfathered, which is fine. But what if they have to apply for a new permit within their district? Then they fall under it, they'll never be able to prove it. That's the way they look at it. For example, the Stillwater mine added a big operation in East Boulder Creek. They got 1,000 miners employed. Okay? They added this huge operation, it's about as big as the original Stillwater mine. They applied for a new permit. They would fall under this and they'd have to prove it. And how long is that going to take? Because you got this lawyer's paradise language that opens the avenue to you did consider this scenario, and this scenario, or this contaminant, or that contaminant. And not only did you not, maybe they did consider it, but they didn't prove it to a high enough standard. So they're in on this. They see themselves as being caught within the bullseye of this initiative. Not just exploration and new permits. The existing mines also see themselves as being within the bullseye. So those are my main thoughts.
Hi, I'm Bruce Cox. I live in Missoula. Spend a lot of time in and around the Flint Range looking at exploration prospects. The thing that I'm hearing, and I've been involved in this for 45 years, the thing I'm hearing from people in the industry that are explorers is, why should we come to Montana if an initiative like this were to pass? Why should we invest our people, our time, our money in projects in Montana if we have to deal with this kind of regulation? And I talked with someone this morning in Idaho that has a company that Ted and I have worked with in the past. Well, we'd be interested in hearing about your Idaho properties, but we're not really interested in hearing about anything in Montana until this is resolved. So we need to see this thing defeated in order to maintain some balance between the new economy and the traditional industries.
Thanks for your letter here. This is,
Thank you.
yeah.
I'd just add one thing. My brother was explaining something to me. I'm Bill Antonelli, Ted's brother. He was explaining something to me earlier, and he was talking about exploration, which is kind of on our minds right now. If you've noticed, Kennecott Exploration is here, and they're exploring down by Maxville. They've got locals employed down there down by the school there, helping with the operation. They've got drill rigs, lots of pickup trucks. They're staying in town. They're eating our food here. They're contributing to our economy. They're going to be here most of the summer, and they're looking for something deep. One point my brother brought up was some of the black eye that the mining industry got was from some of the open pits that were back in the day. Two factors on that. Number one, the mines that are looking at being permitted and the exploration that's going on right now in Montana is deep. It's for underground. And there just seems to be a perception on the part of the public that these pits are bad because I guess they affect the view shed. Well, one thing is that kind of mining is not really being contemplated in these permits that are upcoming. If something was to happen in Phillipsburg, it would not be a pit, it would be something deep. We are trying to get Kennecott to explore in Phillipsburg, and Phillipsburg would be the exploration program would be significant. Just the exploration, even if they didn't find something that interested them, would be of economic benefit to us. the last thing I'll mention is, Ted told me earlier, in the 90s, during the Clinton administration, exploration just went down, 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 down to a very low level. And it continued on that low level for quite a period of time. A little bit later, the price of gold went up by 6 times. And in a state like Nevada, where you have some common sense mine regulation, exploration and mine permits, all that activity went right up along with the price of gold. In Montana, all that activity stayed right down there at that low level because we had an initiative back then that banned the use of cyanide, and it basically, it depressed exploration for 2 reasons. Number one, that's a worldwide recognized good, clean way of processing ore for gold, okay? And the other thing is, not only can't we use that here in Montana, but mining companies look at Montana and they see what kinds of initiatives have been passed in the past, okay? And they see this thing up for probably going to go to a vote, and they invest their money somewhere else. So I'm personally pleased that you guys, this is very well written. I don't know who wrote it, but it's very well written, and I'm in
It
favor
was
of
a
it.
model that they'd used in other counties, so we didn't reinvent the wheel here.
Don't take my word.
Lincoln County used it. Who is the one that's
Silver Bowl
over?
is,
Butte
Butte is actually, they're in the bullseye of this thing.
Yeah.
Because there's billions of tons of especially deep ore in Butte. Billions of tons, around 15 billion tons. And they could mine there for hundreds of years, but you'd have to get a new permit. It's underground that other people own, other than Dennis Washington. You gotta get a new permit? No. No way, because Butte already has permanent water treatment. It just forecloses the future of Butte as a mining city. So no, they're not for it.
Keep this in mind on permanent water treatment. 2 points I'll make. Number one, permanent water treatment could mean something as simple as you would set up a little wetland for a little seepage, and then that would satisfy the requirements permanently. The other thing is, I'll tell you an outfit that has permanent water treatment right now. That's the city of Missoula, okay? They're going to be treating, as long as there's a city there, and I'm guessing it's permanent, then they're going to be treating their water down there. They've got a giant permanent water treating program. What is the big deal about treating water long term? I mean, it's done by every town in Montana. So what you have to keep in mind on I-186, it's the same psychology in my mind as when the cyanide ban was passed. It really didn't have anything to do, the cyanide ban, with cyanide, which is scientifically proven to be safe and effective. It had to do with stopping the digging, okay? And the same goes for this I-186. It's not really about clean water, it's about stopping mining. And there you go.
Yeah. Lena?
Elena Gagliano from Phillipsburg. I have to agree with these 3 gentlemen. They're experts. And I went to the mining convention and got a lot of information. And that's the big thing. It's the camel's nose under the tent. It's not what it appears. And if this passes, forget it. So I agree with this resolution. Coming from New York, I know damn well about water pollution. But that's the other thing that Bill brought up, Bill Antonelli. Industry is a lot different nowadays. They know how to be environmentally safe. It's not like years ago. And so I agree with this.
Thank you. So Bill, you were talking about the resolution, do you think the resolution needs anything, or is it powerful enough?
I think it looks great.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. We asked it to be strongly worded, so there wasn't any, we wanted to make sure.
I think our comments constitute a pat on the back. You guys are doing a good job.
And we appreciate that. And we appreciate you guys coming in
All right.
and sharing
I
that with us.
agree with your letter too on the clear and convincing language, and that's a high standard, just beyond a reasonable doubt. It's the next one down, so I agree with your letter, concur with. That's public comment, I concur with it, and from a legal aspect, I concur with what they're saying as well.
I was pleased to see that you mentioned that the state, since we had these problems in the mining industry 20, 30, 40 years ago, okay, and maybe longer, the state has passed new regulation after new regulation. They've constantly been upgrading. The bonding requirements now are, what would the factor be compared to the olden days?
Well, at least tenfold.
10 times the bond, okay? And the regulations have changed. That's why we don't need this initiative. The state of Montana has been addressing the problems that cropped up in the mining business. They've been addressing it for decades. And not that there won't be some tweaks in the future, but this initiative is not a tweak. It's what John Fitzpatrick calls, it's a kill shot to the mining industry in Montana, unquote. There you go.
That's the way we read it.
Linda, do you have another?
Yeah, just one thing, I know I'm a little privy to this one, but you did get another letter from Trout Unlimited?
Yeah, we just gave them a copy to look at.
So
Oh.
There's one, I put one in that pamphlet out there this morning.
they're
Dick,
proponents of I-186.
Yeah.
Sure.
I think Dick took it. It was on-
Okay, I don't know, I'll have to get a copy.
Yeah.
That should be entered into this too, because they would be the ones that'll make us think about it, you know.
Trout Unlimited should keep in mind that one of their favorite fishing spots, originally referred to as the Bimetallic Reservoir, okay, is now called Georgetown Lake. And it was built by the same mining company that had the mines here in Phillipsburg. And, you know, I think they would approve of Georgetown Lake. I took a look at the fishing statistics. It's amazing, isn't it? I took a look at the checks just the other day. Mike showed me the checks you guys have been getting from the generating facility from the Bimetallic Reservoir. And they're not insignificant. Those are a real help economically to our county. So, you know,
That's legacy of mining too.
that's a legacy of mining, Georgetown Lake.
Absolutely.
A small point, I didn't get to read Trout Unlimited's letter, but at the bottom of the first page, they talk about the mercury due to historic mining. That's not exactly true. The mercury is due to historic treatment, to historic milling. We don't have mercury in our ores around here, okay? It's because mercury was used in the treatment. It's a small point,
They
but
can even tell you how much they hauled in there. I mean,
Yes.
It was really kind of interesting to me.
Yes.
All that came from, they hauled it all in, and they've got records about that.
that all hauled in.
Yeah.
Yeah, point well taken, it's not from the,
It's
not from the mining.
It's not from the,
It's not from the
refining.
mines.
it's not from the mines, it's from the treatment.
I had occasion to look at the geologic report for the district, and there's no mercury mineral reported. They report on dozens of ore minerals, there's no mercury mineral. We're at the wrong level. It's a sort of a tricky geologic argument why there isn't any. But it was brought in here, and that technique of ore treatment has been obsolete for more than 100 years. It was replaced by several things that are better, including flotation, which is what we use. And then it's no longer used anywhere in the world. So it's not coming back. It's not like they have to prevent it with this initiative.
Exactly.
It's not coming back.
Well, you know, I think to me the big lie is that tourism, I mean, fly fishing, you know, that brings all this money into the state. It does, but it's not that much money. I mean, these are not well-paid jobs, okay? You know, they're motel, hotel waitress, you know what I mean? The real money always has and always been, you know, forest, mining, and agriculture, and we need to protect that. This, you know, this is Granite County, this is a hell of a place to try to sell this, but, so I wanna tell you that all three of us have talked about it, we're solidly behind you. We know it's the same thing Bill talked about, is when an exploratory company, or, what's the name of that mine up, on the lake, the guys gonna open up?
Oh, red line.
It's,
Golden Jubilee.
Golden Jubilee.
Okay. Yeah, he comes in, talks about 50 employees, hell, even if he does half of that, if we can get local trucking, maybe to handle the haul, couple
It
of.
did the last time,
It's all
and the
good.
last time,
It's
I
all
was at a
good.
few go-rounds.
I mean, what's wrong with that? And it's a county road, which they said, hey, we'll maintain it. We said, great, we'll
Right.
make you do that.
We
And he
have,
did say that he was gonna keep his eye on this issue that we got in front of
He
us
did.
right now, and he says that's gonna be whether he comes in or not.
we have processed ore from that mine on a couple of different occasions, and so, and we did a good job processing.
Sure. I mean, but it's all, no, those are real jobs, is what I'm saying. They're real jobs.
Well, what, you know, I look at Butte and being completely against this initiative. Butte has actually done something that I think is, in a way, it's admirable and should be emulated by other places. And that is that, yes, the distilleries, the festivals, the arts, all those things have come into Butte, but they kept the old. They kept the mining. So instead of replacing the old economy, the old traditional economy, they added to it. And that's a great thing about all the things that Phillipsburg has added. But
Yeah.
it's, and those are wonderful things, but the way we look at it is, let's have a diverse economy, where there's a place for everybody. And then you have something that is able to generate some family wage jobs, for example, and keep kids into school so you don't lose third grade.
Sure.
And, you know, and the other
Toughest
problem.
5 years of my life right there.
Well, Keith Barkell always talked about, he was in the bar business here for many years. He always talked about the concept of lunch bucket jobs. He was in favor, obviously, of the service economy. You know, he served drinks and on, and he was in favor of the renovation around town and everything else. But he said the jobs that put kids into our schools are lunch bucket jobs. And logging, mining, those things tend to generate lunch
Agriculture,
bucket
of
jobs.
course.
So
Very good.
I took note of his comment.
Any further comments from the public or the commission? Sensing you're ready to vote, all in favor of resolution 2018-12, say aye.
Aye.
All right.
Or did you,
Aye.
did you do a motion?
We did.
Oh, you did a motion, all right, okay.
Council, we're waiting.
All right. Okay.
He's keeping you on the spot.
I know.
We should have fed you lunch.
Yeah, we should have fed you lunch. You know, thanks for coming. I think this is good.
Yeah.
If
Thank
you got
you.
suggestions about how they count, you know, we could be effective to, further combat, let us know. You know, there might be a letter that the timing would be good on. We'd be happy to write it.
Rick Barkell gets these say no to 186, these little black signs from Washington Corp, I think, over there in Butte.
Sure.
And I'm planning on getting one and putting it on my lawn. And
I would
any-
take one. We'll
Okay.
take some.
Bring some here.
Yeah, I'll try to bring some by.
Yeah, that'd be great. And, there might be if you said, if we could send a letter, we'd certainly do that, okay?
Okay.
Just let us know.
Well, we're keeping our eye on it because we'd like to stay in business. All right,
We'd like you to.
Yeah,
thanks for your time.
Yeah.
Bill, are you gonna be at the meeting tomorrow?
am.
Could you bring some signs too?
Would I bring what?
Signs to the
enjoyed
meeting?
Oh, signs, I'll bring some signs, if I can get them from, if I can get them that quick.
Also, if you can bring
Nice
me a
meeting
copy of that letter. And you don't know
What do
what's
you
going
Let me
on.
make sure was this for me, or is this something you
Oh,
guys?
you better
need?
have that back because we snapped it.
Oh, okay.
You want a
See,
copy
look
of
at
this?
that. I really.
Yeah.
There's a copy right there. No, there was copies out in
Shall I just bring it across to Blanche?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can
Thanks,
run
Could
that.
you bring me one?
I'll get you a copy.
Thank you.
You bet, thank you.
Thank you, guys.